Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Tuesday, August 6th, 2024 regular board meeting. If we could all stand for the pledge. Mr. Pat Smith, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And if you're tuning in at home, we have until 9 o'clock to swing up to National Night Out over at Erie One BOCE's on Harlem. Check it out. Sounds like a fun event. We'll begin with our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Bedient. Good evening, everyone. I have a new format for our superintendent's report with some visuals to help support the updates that I have for you tonight. So first, I'd like to just highlight that through the superintendent's report, some of the things that I hope to be able to communicate with both the Board of Education and our community that are watching from home will be to highlight some of the amazing educational experiences that we have for our students, to inform the Board of Education and our community of the work that our district committees are doing, many of which are on hiatus for the summer, but to use this as a vehicle of communication for our district committees so that you're up to date on those. Updates regarding our capital improvement projects, budget, finance, and personnel updates, and any upcoming events that we may have that we want to get either on the board's radar or of our community and to celebrate our students. So the first that I'd like to highlight for you is a West Senior Service Learning trip that our students recently went on. They were there July 3rd through 11th, and our students for a number of years have participated in travel to Latin America or to Europe, but this was the first service learning tour that our students participated in, and they did volunteer work at a local elementary school. They built a fence, they cleared some space that will become a garden. They also did a variety of other things in addition to painting lines on a soccer field and making a new sign for the school. So in addition to travel and learning about the culture and the history of another country, they also participated in service learning. So it was an amazing opportunity for our students who had traveled to Peru this summer. Few other updates as we prepare for the start of the school year. We are full swing in getting our staffing finalized for the upcoming school year. We have a few pending positions that we hope to finalize and have starting the school year with us, which include a few teaching and service providers. In addition, we have our Director of Academies, CTE, and Professional Development, and some teacher aides that we are still working on hiring to ensure that we are fully prepared for the start of the school year. As I mentioned to you in my weekly updates, at this time of year, we are always closely monitoring class sizes. It's the time of year when students enter into our district and are enrolling and registering as new students, and we also learn of students who are moving out of the district. So we are continuing to closely monitor class sizes, and we'll ensure that our class sizes are within Board of Education guidelines. Regarding our capital improvement projects that we have going on this summer, I'm happy to report that all major capital improvement projects are moving forward and are on schedule. We've had a few minor adjustments that we've had to make, more so related to supply chain issues. Believe it or not, still dealing with supply chain issues where we've had to make some minor adjustments, but overall we're moving in a good pace and on track with the work that is to be done. Just a reminder to the board, and I'm grateful for the time that you're carving out Monday night to do our capital improvement project tours of the 3 schools where we have work occurring this summer: West Elementary, West Senior High, and East Senior High. I just have a few thank yous for people who have carved out some time in recent weeks. We hosted a PTA president pizza on the playground, where I got to meet all of our PTA presidents. It was a wonderful event. It occurred at lunchtime during a school day, so our PTO presidents could bring their children with them and play on the playground while I connected with our PTA presidents. I also had the opportunity to meet with our town supervisor, Gary Dixon, and recently, just last week, Trustee Marla Greenberg and I participated in a conference call with representatives from the New York State School Board Association and Congressman Councilman Langworthy's office, which is an important aspect of us advocating for what we need here at the local level with state representatives and state advocacy organizations. And that was a worthwhile call, and thank you, Mrs. Greenberg, for your time in that. As we look ahead, some important dates that I wanted to make sure were on your radar. We have an upcoming board work session. Our annual On My Way to K event for incoming kindergartners is on August 21st. We launch our new teacher academy for all of our newly hired certified personnel, August 26th and 27th. Dr. Logren is hosting a closed closet event where we will be offering families who are in need of support back to school clothes, backpacks, and school supplies on August 27th. That will be from 1 to 6 p.m. and we'll be sharing that out via social media and other platforms. We welcome back all of our faculty and staff on September 3rd, and our students we welcome back on September 5th. So thank you. Just a few updates from me, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. You can do the board president's report, and I just have a little statement prepared. The Board of Education signs a code of conduct every year. This code covers the board's legal authority and their responsibility in operating with fairness and integrity. We feel strongly that this code be abided by at all times. As board president, I ask that the board keep in mind the code of conduct you signed when carrying out your duties as board member. If you haven't reviewed it recently, please do so. For anyone interested, the signed code of conduct can be found on the Board of Education page on the district website. Just want to get that out there because I know we just recently signed it, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but I know it's a good time of year to review that stuff. So, thank you guys. Nothing else on the board president's report, so we can move on to public comments. Is there anyone interested in speaking publicly today? Excellent. Well, that was the long part of our evening. We do have, I'll throw this out here, and if Nicole can correct me on the proper website usage. If you do have any questions for the board during the time that we're not sitting here at the desk, you can email Ask BOE. BOE questions at West Seneca WSCschools.org. And obviously there's a link on the website for that, correct? On the board page. Great, thank you. Yeah, move on to number 3, our transportation update.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Linda O'Grady, who is our transportation supervisor, to give an update on preparations in her department for the launch of the 24-25 school year and some efforts that she has been leading to help ensure that our student transportation and the school year starts smoothly. So I'll turn it over to Linda. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and allowing the time to give you an update on where we are at in transportation this year versus last year at this time. So again, I appreciate the time that you're allowing me today. So our transportation vision for the 2024-2025 school year. Yes. Our transportation team, I was hoping to have them here today, but they are at National Night Out representing the district there. So I'll just explain who they are and a little bit about their role. For the new board members, I'm Linda O'Grady. I'm the transportation supervisor. We have 2 head bus drivers, Lisa Grimmer and Cindy Clohessy. I have a transportation clerk, Jean Sherman, and a senior clerk, Mary Ann Cook. So for comparison of students from last year to this year, at this time last year, we were learning our new routing system, setting up criteria and inputting schedules and creating routes. This year, all of our work from last year carries over, which allows us to focus on moving students, for example, new kindergartners, 5th graders, moving up to 6th grade, and 8th graders moving up to 9th grade. For the numbers comparison, last year, as of this time, we had 4,000 students not routed. This year, as of Friday, August 2nd, we had 148 students not routed. As of end of today, we have 8 students not routed. Every other student has a bus in the district right now. We do have some pending registrations. They are not through registration yet, so we can't do anything with them until they are complete with registrations. So we're very happy with where the numbers are at. We're at a very comfortable part in our routing program. We have some reasons why we're ahead of the game. We took some additional means throughout the school year. We had additional training from our routing program, Traversa. For several months, we have a designated key technician with Traversa that we've worked through with various scenarios. And we've also implementing routes amongst the different team members, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. We had an earlier start on our routing, which allowed for a lot of these changes. At the end of May, we began preparations for routing with focus on the K-6 and 9th graders. Power School import was earlier, and that was completed by July 12th with all technology glitches worked out. Open communication, we sent a letter out to parents regarding runs and cutoff dates and different updates that the district has done. We also emailed all previous years' alternative pickup and drop-offs. So for daycare or custody issues, alternative pickup and drop-off locations, we emailed all of the parents that we didn't have already didn't have, excuse me, the paperwork in for this year, just to remind them that we needed new ones every year. We tend to get an influx about the week before school starts, so we did just email all of those parents and let them know that the cutoff date is August 16th for any changes like that. We distributed routing this year. In years past, we had one main router who took care of everything. This year, I assigned it to different team members. So Mary Ann Cook is going to be handling elementary schools and daycares. Cindy Clohessy will be handling middle schools. Lisa Grimmer will be handling high schools, non-public, Potters, and Harkness, and I will be handling all of the special ed needs. What this allows is for the key personnel at the schools, the clerks, the principals, assistant principals, they have one team member that they can contact with issues, concerns. Same with parents. If parents call and they have concerns or routing issues, they can speak to that team member. That allows that team member to really have better communication with the parents. They know what's going on with those routes. If there's concerns, it's not getting lost in communication amongst the team members in the office because they are owning those routes in those schools. They're responsible for those routes. Month of August proactive measures. Last year we spent too much time reacting to situations. This year our goal was to be proactive and get ahead of any possible issues. We'll now have time to clean up any runs. What that means is we can look at the times that the runs are, the student limits on the buses, and this will give us time, because we're so far ahead of the game, this will give us time to make those adjustments as needed. Our drivers are being brought in to do dry runs to check for safety and efficiencies in routes. Every year, after they bid on the runs, they are required to do a dry run. What we are having them do now is come in mid-August to go over to take a group of routes out and kind of test drive them, just to make sure that they're within that time limit in real time. Computer time's a little bit different than real time, so they're out there in traffic, at the lights and everything. So they're doing it in real time and checking for safety issues, making sure kindergartners aren't crossing the streets and things like that. On August 16th, our nightly imports from Power School will be paused. What that will do, they'll allow us time to route the students that we currently have to make sure that we are at zero for the start of school. Once we turn on that import again, then those students will be, any students that were kind of held in that program and not brought into our Traversa program will then be routed, and address changes and things like that. And they will be on a bus within the first week of school. That'll just give us time to get to a 0 point for day one. Last year, those imports were never stopped. And so we just kept getting the changes in new kids and, new registrants. And so it was hard to keep up with that. And that was some of the reason that we were behind. On August 21st, as Dr. Kruger said, it is on my way to K. We will have all the kindergarten student information for the parents. If they want to get their information on that day, they'll have all the busing information ready for them. Our transportation goals for 2024 and 2025. All non-public transportation letters will be mailed out on August 28th. The difference for the non-public versus the public, non-public students do not have access to parent portal. So they will not be able to get their information on parent portal. So we still have to send them out letters informing them of their busing information. We have a goal of a smooth transition into the new school year, 0 students not on a run for the first day of school, students arriving safely and on time at schools, and a significant decrease to incoming parent calls and concerns. The ability to respond to parents in a timely fashion for any concerns, issues, should they arise. And all of the steps that we've taken throughout this past school year and all of the steps that we're taking now during the summer will allow for our goals to be met. We do have 2 parent apps, bus tracking apps for our district. We have a First View, and that's for our first student runs. They cover 28 of our runs. So buses 1 through 28 are covered by the First View app, and then buses 29 and above are covered by Here Comes the Bus, and that is our parent tracking app. All that information is right on our website. Excuse me. Right on the West Seneca website on the transportation page. On the left-hand side, it says bus tracking app. And they can, parents can click on there, and it will allow them to, it explains how to create an account, to track your bus, to set parameters and different things like that. Thank you. So that's all I have. If you have questions for me, I'm ready. Thank you.
Ms. O'Grady, thank you so much for your presentation. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One is how parents will understand or know who their student's representative is, should they have issues during the first few weeks, particularly if they don't have access to the 2 apps that you just referenced.
Okay.
And my second question is, if you can help me understand if there's a backup in case the software or system goes down unexpectedly in the first few days.
Okay, so to answer your second question first, unfortunately, there isn't a backup if that system goes down. And that's not what happened last year. So I don't know if that is what you were thinking, but
Just
no.
in general, just given software,
Okay.
the software outages can happen at any time.
Right, so we will have paper routes. We always print paper routes out of the system, so we'll always have the paper routes on hand. But we're hoping it doesn't go down. It hasn't gone down yet, but yeah, we will have paper routes, so I would think that would be the backup. As far as the parents being notified, we have not done that yet, so that's something that I will have to look into and maybe be able to put out through an email blast or something like that for the parents to know who their representative would be when they call. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, that kind of dovetails into my question as far as how we're promoting this improved service to families to ensure that they are ensured that transportation is going to be safe and reliable. We lost a lot of our customers last year.
Yes.
From taking the bus, which created a whole different set of problems with parents driving, creating more congestion and getting in onto this campus for certain.
Yes, yes.
How are we promoting this improvement?
So-
This presentation needs to get out to the public.
An email blast has already gone out to all of the West Seneca families with all of the measures that have been taken to sort of boost confidence in the community. So that email has already gone out to all the parents, kind of highlighting bullet points of what has been done to create a smoother start, to create, more efficient, safe runs. Yeah, so that's already gone out.
And they have access, they know which route their child's on, so they know which app to use.
Well, they don't know what route their child's on yet, but it is on the website, with the route numbers, but they don't know yet because...
And they're associated to the neighborhood, right? So 1 through 28 would cover certain...
No,
Okay.
no. What do you mean
Do they
associated?
know if they're on First Student or if they know they're on our school buses? That's my question. If they don't know that one, we'll leave it.
So once the routing is complete, so even though we have 8 kids not on a bus, we're still not complete with the routing because we're still reconfiguring and working on times and things like that. So once they go live, once it goes live on Parent Portal, then they'll know what bus their student is on.
What's the target date for that?
It'll be live on the Parent Portal on August 29th.
Okay.
Yes.
If I could just follow up after Vince's question. You said the parent portal is the 29th and that the cutoff for alternative busing was the 16th. And the 16th is when you were cutting that off?
Correct.
Putting the system down. So anything after that, you had mentioned, you would hope that they'd be on the bus within the first week. So as
Correct.
long as everyone is registered before the 16th, their student will be able to get on the bus day one of school.
Correct.
Anyone after that, within the first week of school, they can rest assured that their child will at least have a ride. This will not extend into weeks or months.
Correct.
Okay, thank
Correct.
So the and again, not my intent to micromanage in any way, but Power School is where the parents will have access to this. Do they know this now that on the 29th it will be?
Yeah, it's it's actually parent portal.
Parent
I call it
portal, I'm
Power Schools,
sorry,
right,
yeah,
but it's
I
parent
probably
portal.
used
Yeah, I'm
that
sorry.
word.
Yes, so that communication has gone out through the tech department with all of the information on there. I believe that went out August 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, explaining that all of the information will be on the parent portal on August 29th.
I'm the lesser responsible parent in my little parent group of myself and my wife. I haven't seen the email, not because I haven't looked, my wife handles all that stuff, so, competently, I might add. And I'm just mimicking an ask here. Would it be something, and I know a lot of stuff is happening, that we could do an email blast, a reminder of who to call, what to do, check Power School, like the day before school starts? Or am I just talking about overloading our entire system? Like a re-email of it, the information?
I believe that's already scheduled.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's what I said.
Yes, I believe that's already scheduled. Yeah, August 1st was the first one, and I believe there's another one that's already scheduled to be sent out.
Frantically looking for an email.
Yes,
that morning.
I
It'd be
believe
cool
that's
for us.
already set up through tech and everything.
Excellent.
Yes, John?
I would just say, so on that date, that is the day that student schedules become available. There'll be an email that will go out at the end of that day. That's when parents will have access to their student schedules, their homeroom, the bus information, all of that at one-stop shop, which was what was highlighted in just the recent email. And we will be sending periodic updates, especially on that day.
Okay, yes, I did get that email, and thank you for that. Sorry about that, I do
That's
remember
okay.
reading it now. Then the next thing I wanted to bring up was the parent apps. We've had them for a while, and they've gone through different, like, working, not working, protocol with the apps. In theory, they should be working on all our buses on day one.
Day one, correct.
With great tracking and everything. What is the protocol if the app is not working, i.e. we have to use a substitute bus, or, gosh forbid, we have to do a combined route? I know that before they would just be shut off or not active. And again, this is just me and my thought process. Do we have any ways of, like, when you go to the app, instead of it just not working, saying that your bus is rerouted, or are we still just sticking with those robocalls that we do at this point?
Well, I mean, we always send out the robocalls to let parents know if a bus is combined.
And those are great, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
and that's just because then the pickup and drop-off times are going to vary. As far as a substitute bus, we can go in the morning and change that bus number. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's a little hairy-carry in the morning, so it's hard to
I understand,
get in and
yes.
change all that. But I will make a concerted effort to improve that this
Yeah.
year, definitely.
And the reason I bring it up is not, to imply the apps don't work all the time, but if my experience is, I love the app, I love knowing the bus is coming, I can get the kids out less in the rain or the snow, or, hey, it's coming down the street. But when the app doesn't work reliably once or twice, then I just kind of give up on it because I can't trust it. So I was just kind of hoping that we can put together a little more, like, and I don't believe it's anyone's fault other than technology. I'm hoping we can, if we haven't caught up to it, we can make a plan to catch up to maybe changing, because I know, like, we had a lot of combined routes, and it wasn't, I don't think it was Here Comes the Bus, I believe it was First View.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have any control over that, how they handle their situation or not.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I can suggest and call them. When a bus is combined, it's only going to pull up it's only going to follow the GPS on the main route.
Yeah.
So when we're combining, so say if we're combining bus 13 and 14, and 13 is the main bus, 14's kids aren't going to be able to track.
Correct, and I just didn't know if technology
yeah.
doesn't allow for that yet, or...
It wouldn't allow, in
Okay.
that situation, it wouldn't allow for that to
Okay.
track. Yeah.
I'd just be curious, and again, I'll reach out to you. Just curious what their protocol is at first student.
Yeah, I can definitely find that out.
If you don't mind passing that along.
Oh, correct, of course, yeah.
Just for peace of mind.
Definitely.
But I think our app also, again, if we just, I just feel like if it fails the parent once or twice, then they're just going to give up on it. And I think it's a vital, again, just for even getting these parents away from wanting to always drive their kids.
Right.
We have these beautiful buses with these great bus drivers, and, my kids love taking the bus.
Yeah.
So, mostly because I yell at them when I drive. So, but I do appreciate that. The focus of the apps being consistent is something
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
I'll definitely make a conscious effort to
I really
improve
appreciate
that.
that.
Just so you know, too, our app, our numbers for the apps have gone up a great deal. I believe first student is 2,300 families are signed up for it, and ours are at 1,900 families. So, yeah, the numbers have greatly improved. The first couple years, I think we were only at about 1,500 total.
Okay.
So the app numbers have really greatly
And I know
improved.
COVID took a toll on that too, because things just
Correct, yeah.
went haywire there, so. Cool,
So,
appreciate it.
Okay.
I just have one last question.
Sure.
Are parents, and I think I know the answer, but are parents able to opt children out of bus?
If they call us, there's no specific procedure for it. If they call us and say that their student isn't going to be taking the bus, then we will inactivate that student on the routes. But we've looked at that in the years past. The problem was that the parents would say, well, I only wanted to take the bus on a Monday. Yeah, so they didn't want to opt out totally, because then if they couldn't take them one day, they couldn't just call and get a bus that morning. So that's kind of where it kind of fell off, because they either had to opt out or
But,
not opt out.
and I believe,
The answer is no.
The answer is no, I'm sorry. The answer is no.
yeah, I was gonna say, I believe in my experience with this, because I've talked about it too, that the parents may opt out, but if the kid needs a ride home any day of the school year, we're obligated to do it. So therefore, we got to keep the space kind of available on the bus
Yeah.
for them.
That's
Correct.
a really critical point, that in the event that we have an emergency closure, an emergency early dismissal, and we need to get students home, we need to ensure that we have a seat on the bus for every child. So even if the child on a day-to-day basis is being picked up by a parent, ensuring that there is a seat for the child on the bus is critical in the event of an emergency closure. Yeah.
I would have thought of that. That's great. And I do want, one more question for you,
Sure.
more out of, how many people typically register the last week before school and the week of school? Like, is it an onslaught, or is it just a few?
It's an onslaught.
It's an onslaught,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. With the address changes and daycares, custody paperwork, things like that, I mean, we can get up to 30 to 40 a day. And so it's, to be able to continuously keep up with that, and at some point, we have to cut it off so we can get to that 0 point.
Yeah.
And
No,
August
I think-
16th is actually quite late.
I think it's a
compared
good-
to some other
Again,
districts.
I think you guys it's a great plan,
Yeah.
and it's a great idea.
Thank
You have to sometimes have some rules to help things run smoother. But I do remember over the years hearing, we get a lot of new people the first week before school and after
Yes.
school. So again, yeoman's effort here, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything all you guys do over there.
Thank you.
I see that first student has routes 1 through 28, and for West Seneca employees, it just says routes 29 plus. How many routes do West Seneca employees actually cover?
69.
69. And then how does this software tie in with like Power School? Like what's the checks and balances to make sure that everyone in Power School is
So
routed?
Power School is the controller. So any information that's put into Power School every night is imported into our program. So if there's an address change or anything like that, the school will put it into Power School, and then that night it will be popped into Traversa. The next day, we will get notification that there's an address change. So they are the controller of it. So if a parent would call us and say, we moved or we're changing schools, if we went into our program and changed it, and there wasn't change in Power School, the next day it would go back to the old address. Power School, the information has to be put into Power School for it to be correct in our system.
Is there a way though, I guess I should ask it differently, to take the total number of students in Power School and just make sure that's the same total you have in your system for routing, just to make sure you have the exact number, to make sure no one's left off? Even though it's tied together.
Right, the problem is that in Power School, they still hold like graduated seniors and things, so it's the way that it's imported that gives us a specific amount of students. So if we went into Power School, so like last year, we were getting 12 and 14,000 students in our program because it was importing all of the students. For example, my senior clerk, her daughter is now a teacher in the district, and her name was still popping into our system. So it was little glitches like that that we had to figure out on how to stop those previous students from popping in to get our numbers from 14,000 down to 6, where we're at. So if we compared the numbers of what's in Power School to what's in Traversa, it would be very different, because Power School holds more students. Am I explaining that
Yeah,
clearly?
I understand. I was just kind of curious if there's a way we could just double check.
Yeah. I mean,
If
I'm
it's used correctly, what you just described would happen.
Right, I'm sure that there's a way to go into Power School and pull the current students to be able to compare. Yes.
And Jeremy, you made me think of another question. If there are new parents in the district or address changes, it sounds like it could be confusing with people calling the bus garage. So just for anyone who might be watching, or in summary, where should they be contacting? Because it sounds to me like that should be the central office to get into Power School and not the bus garage.
So any new registrants should go to central registration.
Thank you.
Any address changes would go to the schools. There's specific schools for address changes. So, and then we do our best to get them routed as soon as possible, but usually the address change will take, on an average, about 2 days.
Any other questions? Thank you.
No, I just want to close by underscoring the sense of urgency for parents around making any requests by August 16th to ensure that their child is routed on a bus for the first day. So if that's an alternate transportation location, such as getting picked up and dropped off at a daycare provider, or families who are in process for registration, making sure that the registration process is complete by August 16th so that we can route them on a bus, as Linda described. If not by August 16th, it could be delayed up to a week and not have busing available that first week of school.
Okay. Anything else?
I want to thank you and just
Thank you.
remind everyone, National Night Out. You guys do a great program there
Thank
every
you.
year, so I love
Thanks.
it. You got a bus there too?
Well, so they don't have, at that location, they don't have room for the Reading Rover bus and our bus.
Okay.
So the Reading Rover bus
Yeah,
is there right
Reading
next
Rover's
to us,
great.
yeah. But we still do the safety things.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Linda,
Thank you.
for all of your work and for being here tonight.
I'm not sponsored by National Night Out, I want to make that point. I just really enjoy the evening. Okay. I want to move on to our consent agenda. We typically have a motion for the consent agenda, and that kind of has a whole group of stuff in there that necessarily doesn't need an individual discussion on each one. So if I may have a motion from the floor for consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to approve? Actually, I have everything from 4 through 8, including all of 8. So if anyone wants to make a motion to approve or not approve or table or...
I'll make a motion to approve 4 through 8.
Thank you. Motion to approve.
Second.
Laura, second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Passes 7-0. We'll move on to... Actually, we'll probably, do we even do some introductions? Would it be you or Dr. Savoni?
I'd be happy to do that, and Dr. Cervoni can certainly chime in if he would like. But in your consent agenda tonight, you just approved the tenure of Patrick Smith, who is the assistant principal at West Senior High School. So congratulations, Pat.
Want to stand up? Who did you bring with you today? Congratulations. I don't think we have anyone else here, but I will say that this is one of my favorite times when we get to introduce new people or tenured people. So thank you for being here. Number 9, certified positions. May I have a motion for number 9, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion to approve number 9?
Yes.
Okay, make a motion to approve. Jeremy, a second. Any discussion on 9? Go to vote. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Excellent. Passes 7-0. Thank you. We will move on to 10, personnel classified. If I could have a motion on the floor for that.
I'll make a motion to approve 10.
Motion to approve 10.
I'll second.
Marla, second. Okay. Any discussion on this? I know we had a couple questions. Everything good?
Yeah, I would just like to see in the future if we're going to be creating new jobs, kind of replacing or changing the title of a certain position, that all take place at the same time.
Okay.
As far as
Duly noted. We can address that.
I appreciate that feedback, and Dr. Cervoni and I did discuss that this morning so that we can attempt to tighten that up in subsequent agendas. Absolutely.
Great idea. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Motion passes 7-0. Move on to 11. Anyone want to do a motion for all of 11?
I'll make the motion.
Jeremy, motion to approve all of 11?
Yep.
Good.
I'll second it.
Second, any discussion on it? Just making sure I don't have any notes. Great. Any questions or comments? Or? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
I do as well.
Okay, so passes 5-0 with 2 abstentions. How's that? All right, I've got the big words today I'm using. Thank you. That was 11. I'll make sure I get everything. Where's 12? I skipped one last time. Where's 12? Where did we hide 12? Oh, I went one too far. There we go, right here. Sesame Street would always teach me counting up to 12. I got it. Okay, so new business. Anyone want to do a motion for all of 12?
I'll make a motion to approve all of 12.
Motion to approve all of 12? Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Second? Any discussion on anything?
So 11B wasn't part of 11B, that was all together?
Yes, I did.
A and B?
Yes, I did, all of 11. I'm sorry. Yes, did you want to go back and discuss anything with 11B?
Yeah, that was the whole intention of my email about having that open consensus.
Yes, we did pull it, I'm sorry. It wasn't in consensus, we pulled it.
We just voted on all of the, okay.
Yes, I apologize, I didn't split it up. You want to,
A and B?
yeah, I did all of 11, yes.
Instead of doing 11A?
Yes.
11B?
I screwed up on that, I apologize. You want to talk about it at new board business?
Yeah, but we already approved it, so it doesn't matter. I'll talk about it in board discussion.
Okay, sorry about that, I apologize. I took the motion for all 11, and I apologize. So now when I go back to where we were, we did all of 12. Find 13 again. 13. Did we do 12?
We did.
We didn't do 12 yet. Okay. So I have a motion for 12?
Yeah, I
Okay,
made a motion.
motion and a second. So any discussion on 12? Anything in all of
Yeah, I have a
12?
question about 12B. So we're adding
Let me find it for you, sir. 12B?
12B,
Okay,
middle school clubs.
yes.
So my only question with regards to that is that, what do we do to monitor the attendance and meetings for all clubs in general? Is there a process for evaluating the membership at clubs, how often meetings are held, what is the attendance at clubs? And then is there a process for when we're adding, do we do any contracting of those clubs?
Sure.
Replace the ones that are not being, like, a level of evaluation. Is this club actually functioning? What is it producing?
Some of the questions I may need to look into and report back to the board, but generally speaking, if clubs are not having strong attendance, then that club may not run in a subsequent year, which thereby gives opportunity for us to be responsive to things that are of student interest. And that is, where new clubs are typically formed from. At the time that a club is being discussed to start, we do have discussion around the frequency of the meetings, whether or not it will be a fundraising club, because some of those things determine what the stipend is that is affiliated with the advisorship of a club. So if a club is meeting, let's say, every week, and they are also involved in fundraising, that would be much more intensive than a club that, let's say, meets once a month. So often that is determined at the onset of it, which then determines the appropriate advisor stipend for a club. In terms of membership, the enrollment in our clubs and attendance, I can look into that with Dr. Cervoni and the building principals. I don't want to give inaccurate information regarding that and would prefer to look into that and then report back to the board.
Yeah, I think it would be great to just understand what the process is and make sure that, there are different clubs that have different, who is evaluating and who is monitoring the attendance of those.
Sure. Okay.
I also think it's great because the clubs are one of the big reasons we want kids coming to school. A lot of times it's not because of the school, it's because they're in the clubs or they're involved in activities. So I love keeping an eye on that. Thank you, Vince. Any other questions or comments? All of 12. We have our board liaisons. Thank you, everyone, for working on that and volunteering to be part of that with the different associations we belong to. That's a lot of commitment and involvement, so we do appreciate it. Anything else? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 7-0. Take a motion on 13.
I'll make a motion to approve 13.
Motion to approve 13. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion on it? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 7-0. And if I'm correct, we don't have to worry about 14. For that, Nicole? I don't have to worry about 14, correct? Okay. We'll move on to Board of Education discussion. And because I kind of dropped the ball on that, I'll start with Vince, and we want to start with your discussion. Sir, I apologize again.
Oh, my question was with regards to faculty managers, and I guess my questions are related to the position itself. Is it that a 12-month position?
It is not specified as 12-month in the contract, if I recall. However, knowing and getting an understanding of what the position entails, there is work that occurs in August. For example, faculty managers are involved in the inventorying of uniforms and equipment, which often takes place during August. But I don't believe that the contract specifies whether it's 10, 11, or 12-month.
And who exactly is the supervisor of those positions?
The athletic director.
The athletic director oversees the faculty, directs, and evaluates the faculty managers.
Correct.
And those faculty managers, under their job description, is they are to make sure that they're, at every game, there's the different positions of scorekeeper, what have you, supervisors. Can they appoint themselves to do those positions, to work those positions?
I believe in the past they have.
So they're the faculty manager, and they assign somebody to keep the scorebook, and they can assign themselves to do that job.
That's my understanding is what the practice has been.
Is there always supposed to be a staff person doing like the scorebook and things, like doing all of those duties? Because I've seen parents volunteer to do it when there's nobody.
So from a safety and supervision, we certainly, first and foremost, student safety. We need to ensure when we're hosting a large-scale event, such as many of our athletic events, that we have adequate supervision and chaperoning of students. And so both our athletic director and our faculty managers have a role in that to ensure that we have adequate supervision. Secondary to that, once we take care of everything that would be safety related, secondary to that would be things like operating a scoreboard, PA system and announcing, or potentially keeping stats. At times, my understanding is we do have parent volunteers that are keeping stats.
Are students able to keep stats?
I would need to look into that. I don't know offhand if we have students keeping stats.
I was a statistician in high school for the soccer team, so I'm just thinking
Yeah.
that it made sense if there was, why couldn't a student do that? Just a thought.
I brought it up numerous times, having students do the announcing of games, part of a class.
Absolutely.
That they take with, we're doing news broadcast in elementary school. Certainly we could have high school students doing the broadcast of the basketball game.
If we're concerned about future-ready students, I would strongly encourage that to happen. When you're looking at broadcasting, communications, just all the attention that went into that. And that did earn me a varsity letter of men's soccer, ironically. So it can happen. I mean, that was Pennsylvania, but, just putting it out there,
You got a letter.
that why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't we allow students to participate in that?
Yeah, and I can't tell you what the process is now. Would that fall under the purview of the faculty managers, or is it more of a boosters thing? I really don't know. Is that maybe something we can kind of get just a summary on and
Sure.
see if there's any?
I can certainly take any questions that I'm not responding to tonight to our athletic director and follow up with the board, whether you prefer that follow-up in my weekly update to you or report back at our next board meeting so that we could continue the discussion.
Yeah.
Happy to do that.
To get students involved or?
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to piggyback off of what Vince said about supervising, because under the job posting or the description of the job, number 4 says right in it, attend, supervise, and facilitate home contest as assigned by the director of athletics. So if that's already in the job description, why should they get kind of paid twice for it? Is a good way to put it.
Agreed.
Excellent. Any other questions on that, sir?
No, I think we covered.
Okay, anyone else on that?
No, thank you, Vince.
Thank you, yeah. And again, my apologies, sir. We'll move on to the next thing on the list here, live streaming and recording work sessions versus retreats. I know I'd like us to come on a, I don't know, how do you say, consensus on how we want to handle that. My opinion's always been, I was a big proponent of getting the video and getting everything out on YouTube and recorded for people that can't attend to see our board meetings. I personally did not necessarily push for the recording and getting everything out for work sessions because I feel they're a little more laid back and they're more meetings where we can learn and talk and freely speak of things. Not that I wouldn't want anything I say on video or recorded. I'm not worried about that, but I'm just thinking more of it's a casual conversations when we do work sessions. That's just my opinion. So I wanted to find out what the rest of the board and, of course, what other people in the room may want, and we can come to a consensus on it. There's been times where we've had important things that are work sessions, and we've recorded and put them on, and then we've moved on to the more, closed the meeting and moved on to a work session, done the more mundane stuff, the long conversations about things. So just want to get everyone's opinion. I know Vince and I have discussed
My
that.
opposing view of that is that if it's an open meeting that people can attend in person, that we should make it available to everybody to watch live. What's the difference? If they can watch it here, they should be able to watch it at home just like they're watching it.
I understand, and I respect that. So that's why we figured instead of us two just wrestling, we would talk to everybody and see what you want, and I'll support either way.
Some valuable things presented to us at those meetings that it's difficult to convey or summarize. So if it was recorded, then people could see and hear what we're seeing and hearing.
Great.
Yeah, I think just in the spirit of transparency, having them available is important. but knowing if we need something that's more retreat, that's not, I just think following,
Yeah, I think retreat doesn't include any board business. I think that's more of like a get-to-know-you type stuff. But if there's anything for executive, obviously, we wouldn't record that.
Right.
We can move into that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm not against it in any way. I was just thinking of more unmeeting-like situation, why record it and everything. But people are welcome to the public, so, I mean, I have no problem sticking with what Vince and the rest of you guys want. I mean, it doesn't bother me any.
no, I fully get it. I just think being transparent where we can be transparent.
Did you run on that? No, I'm just kidding.
Listen here.
Just kidding.
I think everybody did. But it's what the community needs.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Like, we have a history that we have to build trust back.
Sure.
So I think that's crucial at this point.
Yeah, and this is coming from a place where a lot of our work sessions were really deep dives into stuff. As a new board member years ago, there's a lot going on that we didn't know. Now they seem to be real, I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to miss the presentation that we just had on transportation, so I get it. I mean, so we're cool in theory. I don't know if we have an actual policy or if we need to make one.
I
but
did not see one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe our policy committee talk about it, whether it's an actual policy or not.
Yep.
But we're just basically, if we're meeting and it's an open public meeting, we're gonna do the full show. Excellent. I'm great with it, as long as we're okay tech department wise, we're good, because it's only another, what, like eight meetings maybe?
Right, and to the point that was discussed, we should definitely check, if we don't have a policy that articulates this, ensure that we have a policy that speaks to how we will advertise our meetings,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
they're in person and remote for both board meetings and work sessions. So we can certainly take that to the policy committee and ensure that the policy is aligned. And then that will become the way in which we conduct business until, if at a later point, the board decides to change that policy.
I concur with that, and when we first discussed this, I think back in July, I did some research into our policies. I did not see one, but I will say that we do actually have over 200 policies, so we want to make sure that we're just double checking, and then we can codify it and amend it
Okay.
as necessary.
So one way or another, if we don't have a policy, we'll create one. If we have it, we'll make a motion, we'll work on changing it to fit that narrative. And again, this is another little side note to it. If we have any of our kids ever, maybe there's a time we can get them involved in helping out with one or two of these meetings. I mean, our tech department does an amazing job, and how cool would it be for the kids to get to see this and check it out. So I just want to throw that out there. Mr. Pacer, you got that? Anything else? So I believe the meetings are recorded or put out live. I say recorded. I don't think they use VHS tape anymore. They're streamed live, and then it's put out at another time, the actual meeting as a package.
That's right. It
Okay.
usually takes, the tech department with Mr. Pacer's assistance takes that video, if there's footage that needs to be condensed, in a sense cleans it up, and so it's usually posted within a few days following our board meeting.
Excellent.
Your first meeting still, it's out there on cyber.
Yeah.
It's in black and white. but-
Yeah, it's, but I get him to edit all my little mistakes, like skipping 11A and B. We'll go back and fix that with AI. Cool. I mean, so we're good on that. Next thing would be board meeting locations. Again, I guess this is a list of just Ed's rants. Maybe we'll rename the section. My personal opinion, I think our board meetings should be held here at the boardroom. This is going to sound horrible. I don't need to be in an auditorium with a straight table, putting on a stage show for people to actually hold a productive meeting. I would like to have it here where we can talk and look at each other. That meeting that I've been attending to at the end of the year, I love honoring our retirees. I wouldn't mind doing that and then, say, doing it downstairs in the gymnasium and then moving up here afterward to hold an actual meeting. I just did not enjoy, and I think it was your first meeting?
It was, and when we determined we were going to create the Board of Ed, the musical,
Yeah, that was,
because of that. But yeah.
I didn't really hear anything that was going on. I had a real hard time sitting in the, my opinion is I would like to hold our board meetings here. And I would like to know if you guys agree with that, and if we could find ways to, I believe Nicole set something up last year that worked out really well. We did a meet and greet for the retirees. Was it last year? We did a meet and greet, and then we held the meeting afterward down there in the gymnasium. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, 2 years ago. That worked out pretty well, but I also wouldn't mind moving the meeting up to this room. But again, I'm just one of 7, so I wanted to get your guys' opinion on that.
Yeah, I would take that even one step further. I think that when we have the meeting or the acknowledgement of the retirees, we do it during the day. Many of the different schools last year had their own retiree functions the same night. Most of them weren't there.
Right.
So I would rather just see us do something during the day, a breakfast that truly honors them, let them bring people, separated from the board meeting altogether. That would be my
I support that. I don't think we need anyone else have an opinion?
I was just not to sound like a broken record in terms of policy, but I think it's something that we should consider codifying as part of a policy. We do have a statement on our website that says all board meetings will be here unless otherwise specified, but I think we can potentially put it into a policy.
Okay. It's the opposite of what I was going to say. I was going to say, we don't need to vote on it, but we could agree. So let's actually do it then. We'll make sure we get some sort of a policy. And I apologize. Any opinion that may
Thank
agree
you.
or differ?
Thank you. I think I could confidently speak on behalf of the technology department that when we have it in this location, we have amazing equipment to be able to live stream and record this, and having it in this facility, I will make the assumption in the statement that that is best for our technology standpoint. I think, though, honoring our retirees and some of those recognitions are very important, and we can consider holding those in a different location. But I think for the high-quality recording that you get out of this space, it would be preferred to be here.
Excellent, thank you. Good? Good? Well, now we'll move back to the Vince Vanderlip show. An idea you wanted to talk about our building tours, and I fully support your thought on that, so maybe we could find a way to make it work. Do you want to discuss it?
Yeah, I think I shared this with the rest of the board via email, the idea that visiting different schools after school, it's very, it doesn't give us the full illustration or the picture of what it's like to be in that school for a day. So what I proposed is taking one day, hitting the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high schools on the east side, and then another day to do the same on the west side, so that we can see the schools while students are in there, while teachers are doing their job, while our wonderful staff is providing lunches for kids, and just be able to see it live. Visiting an empty school is like going to a museum. It's just not the same. So to get a better feel for what actually happens in the buildings, I think we need to be there while the staff is there and while the students are there.
I love it. I mean, I could tell you as someone who has been on a lot of tours, I love going when there's no kids there because you get to see all the really behind the scenes stuff, but I love going when there's kids there. One year we actually did tours where we actually, it was East Middle, we attended lunch. As a board, we went and we got to enjoy a wonderful lunch. They let me have 2 chocolate milks that day, so it was a while ago. But we got to experience lunch with the kids. And it was really great to taste the food and see what was served and how the kids, it was a lot of fun. And then the other tour we went on, one of the big concerns is we're disruptive, right? And I'll tell you, anytime I've been in a school as a board member touring, the kids and the teachers and the faculty and staff, they really seem to enjoy getting to show off their building. And I think it's a positive thing. Plus, look at all the decisions we're making. It really gets us, boots on the ground. So thank you for bringing it up. I mean, it's something I really like. I would be willing to help coordinate it and figure out a way we can make it work for everybody. I don't know if you want to work with me, Vince, or...
You write a note for everybody so they can get off of work?
I'll write a note, absolutely. Can we get like a police escort or something? Is anyone opposed to looking in to try to make something like that happen?
It would be very difficult for me to get time off when students are in school because I'm running a school, so.
I understand.
But,
Could we try?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, we could work on it. I mean, again, that is not a policy. We'll not make it a policy that we all visit. We'll work on it. And again, I'll coordinate with Vince and I'll start with the idea and we'll let it roll from there and see what we can do. Even if not everyone can make every one, we'll see who can make what.
And to Laura's point, that's a different type of tour than what we're going to be doing next week with
Oh,
looking
absolutely.
at capital improvement projects.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and we toured Winchester Potters last year just after the kids left, I believe. And again, what a great tour. I mean, the principal was so proud to show us everything. We were able to ask a lot of questions. So there's no reason why we can't try to work on getting both set up. And there's no rule that we all have to make everything, but we'll try to get
I will
everyone.
say, those tours, for us, we felt like we got something out of them as well, because we got to see what's happening in the after-school. So some of the clubs, the after-school activities that take place, we were able to see those happening. I know Northwood, when Pot was another place that we got to see the interactions that happen after school.
Yeah.
Some of the events, the after-school programs. That was pretty cool to see. And again, the pride that everyone had in what they were doing with students was awesome.
I love it.
And even if we could, like, when we did the West Senior Tour, that was senior night for basketball, so,
Yeah.
like, just getting to experience that.
And that's the thing, if we create more opportunities for us, even if half of us can make it one time and some of us another, there's no, there's no rule that we all have to go. But it is really worth every time. That's what actually I enjoy about this job, not the,
What if we had board meetings at each of the other schools?
that goes against policy that we're creating. I do remember we talked about that, and I liked visiting them, but so Vince and I will get working on that, and we'll throw some ideas out to you guys, if that's cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the pledge. I know typically we have kids assigned to do the pledge throughout the year. I don't know what the process is on that. I don't know if we invite kids just randomly or how that works, if anyone knows, but
Last year, we had student presentations or school presentations at that meeting. So we would ask the students that were coming in for that presentation to do the pledge.
okay. So do we have any plans on continuing student presentations this year, or are we looking at different ideas? Does anyone,
I would love to see them continue.
okay? Cool.
Agreed. I agree.
I will get something out, and we'll start coordinating out something with that. I'll get an email chain going, and we'll get some ideas, or maybe I'll look at last year and see who presented when, and try to put together a timeline. So then those kids can necessarily do the pledge then. Okay. Not that Mr. Smith did a bad job, but, you weren't that good. Anything else?
Yes. I know we just approved the student calendar, but I'll bring up again the idea of having kids out of school for 4 days in January for a handful of exams is not a great practice. I would like to see that there's some other alternatives for our students who are not taking exams. Do we know, we should know by now how many students even need to take January exams, right? I'm sure there's
Well, they can take them in August first.
in
So
August.
we might have to wait.
So we know the high, the
Yeah.
absolute high of how many students have to take January exams. Last year, the idea that I had put forward about having speakers having a workshop for seniors to work on their college applications, having different things through the course of the day. You can't have them all there, well, then have them on a rotation. But to just have them home for 4 days is not okay. Just not.
Might it be helpful if we start with some data around how many students are taking a January Regents exam? To me, that's not a number that I know today, but that might be helpful for us to determine who has retaken an exam in August, who is retaking an exam in January, to determine what is the impact, how many students are engaged in an exam versus how many students are getting multiple days without attending school and instruction. Maybe start with that around what is the impact of this, at least so we can have, for my sake, for yours as well, I think, a bit of a more informed discussion on it to help shape that conversation.
Would it be improper for that data would be available in September, or do we got to look at October?
No, let me see if I can have it ready for us in September. I don't see why not. That's
Just asking.
data that we should have available. So really looking at the number of exams, and we can do a breakdown by exam. We should have that number by exam of how many students in January took each exam, and whether those are unique individual students or some students came in January to take multiple exams. I think that would be insightful.
Okay. Is that
Okay.
good, everybody
Lisa,
on that?
Just if we're going to be asking for that data, and if we're looking at chronic absenteeism and those concerns, are you able to get data on the attendance on half-days, especially before and after holidays. I was at the Learning and Leadership Conference by NISBA a couple weeks ago, and that was a big topic. So there were some districts in the state who have eliminated half-days for that reason, because there was such a lack of attendance. I'm just, we're having a conversation, nobody get excited. I just wanted to make sure that we're looking at those sorts of things if chronic absenteeism is a concern for the district moving forward. So it might not even be for this fall, but just when we're talking about goals, when we're going to set goals.
Yes, I think we have adopted our calendar. The revision here was due to a change in a Regents exam, but the calendar was adopted initially back in March. If we're looking ahead to what the calendar would be for the 25-26 school year, I think it would be prudent to have some discussions throughout the fall and winter around, and we can have that attendance data. That is data that we can extract from Power School to find out what is the average daily attendance versus the daily attendance on a half day or days. They do tend to peak, of course, before holiday breaks, but to look specifically at half days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one of the things that came up in your report was our students that were improved doing service learning. I think what a wonderful thing that would be if that were a graduation requirement at our high schools. I think the past couple of years, East does something with Trojans in Action, and it would be wonderful to make that a requirement, a graduation requirement. You either attach it to your participation in government class as a requirement, or some way making that requirement that students are out doing some level of social service learning and contributing to their community.
I think the timing of you suggesting this is really an ideal time, because we are discussing, and as the board knows, intending to have a long-range strategic plan. Simultaneously in the state, there is a change on graduation requirements and pathways for graduation. So I think now's the time to have the conversation. Some schools do require a community service element as part of their graduation requirement. Other schools are moving towards financial literacy requirements. So there are different local requirements that a Board of Education can institute for our graduation that would be above and beyond the minimum expectations put forth by the state. And I think utilizing our long-range strategic plan, which is really a 3 to 5 year plan, on how do we feel about this collectively, get all stakeholders' input in this as to, is this something we want to move towards a graduation requirement change? But I think the time to do it is now. It's really the ideal time.
Speaking of times to do things, I'll move to my next point on cell phone policy. So a couple weeks ago, we voted on the code of conduct that includes a cell phone policy, which in my view is fairly liberal, and provides different zones to use cell phones. In the neighboring district we see today, Lackawanna completely forbid cell phone use, have a plan in place, and on the other side, here we are adding earbuds to the okay. So I think we're moving in the wrong direction in that. I think we're moving in the opposite direction that other schools are going. I think we're moving in the opposite direction which our governors going. So I think the conversation needs to start happening really now about where we're going and what direction we're going in. In our own code of conduct. Because I don't think we should be lowering the bar, I think we should be raising it.
Point taken. Anyone want to comment on that and or anything else? No? Okay. I think that closes out Board of Education discussion. That was great. Thank you, guys. We will move on to what we're going to do is we're not going to adjourn. We're going to, if I could have a motion from the floor, if I could have a motion to enter an executive session for the discussion related to contract negotiations, history of a particular person, and to meet with an attorney.
I'll make a motion to move to executive.
First, second, any discussion on it? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes 7-0. And just to let Jeff and the at-home public know, we will not be conducting any public business when we return. Once we're done with executive, we'll just adjourn out of the meeting, so feel free to go enjoy your evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll take 5 minutes.